It's a nice time of year in Damascus. Crisp mornings, mild days. It has the feeling of a perfect Arab spring. But that's not a term you want to use broadly here. I came to Syria to seek the views of the government and its supporters. But with such ceaseless bad press, I think they don't quite believe me. Most government doors remain firmly shut. So with commendable enterprise, my ministry translator agrees to hit the streets with me.
This is the old market sector in Damascus. It's here that people come to shop, to promenade, to exchange news and gossip. And frankly, a lot of people have been looking rather nervous that we're here to ask questions, which is exactly what we're here to do. But even though those answers may not exactly be free and forthcoming, it can nevertheless be quite illuminating.
With so many wary of giving the wrong answers, it's a slow start.
With all the trouble in Syria...
No trouble. In Damascus, no trouble.
Well, there's trouble in lots of parts of the country, though.
No.
No? No trouble?
No.
No, this is big. It's good, like normal, like any.
Come on,
yeah.
it's not like normal.
No, it's normal.
There's no tourists.
Believe me, it's
There's
normal.
no tourists
No,
here.
no, it's this month. No tourists now. It's very good.
Is it?
We accept it.
But this time it's winter, you know. Yeah.
So it's just the weather?
Yeah.
You sure? Come on.
No, really.
All the hotels are
No,
closed?
really.
So business is
But the
okay.
longer we stay, the atmosphere becomes relaxed enough to admit at least there are problems here.
يعني ما بعرف شو بدي احكي بس نحن بنتمنى انه ترجع بلدنا مثل ما كانت. صح في اغلاط بالداخل ما فينا ننكر هذا الشيء بس كمان في شيء خارجي كثير كبير عم يكون للبلد فالله يحميها.
That admitting problems and admitting any support for the opposition are totally different propositions.
الآن بالنسبة للمتظاهرين إذا كان 10% متظاهر و90% مؤيد احنا بدنا نقضي على 90% مشان ال 10%؟ لا هذا مرفوض الكلام هذا ابدا.
But what I'm asking is there anyone here who is able to say they support the opposition? No one. And why is that? Is that free speech if no one can say that?
لا والله أنا والله أقول بحرية والله ما في. أنا كنت مار بالشارع وحكيت والله من غيرتي على هالبلد. بدوا يخربوا كل شيء بنى. بدوا يضيعوا هالأمان بيناتنا. بدوا يضيعوا الإخاء والمحبة اللي بيناتنا. بدوا يفتتوها. هاي قصدهم بس.
This does seem to be a commonly held view in Damascus. When cameras are off, people will criticise the one-party state that has ruled here for decades. But fear and suspicion of the opposition is extremely high. The government of President Assad could bank on genuine support in Damascus at least. On and off camera, Saladin, a carpet dealer in the market, has the same message.
My children, I have 5 children, go for that school without money, not pay money. Go for hospital, not pay money. Go for everything, no money.
Religiously, Syria is a very diverse nation. Saladin expresses a common fear of the opposition's agenda, coming as they do from the largely conservative Sunni areas of the country. In Damascus, at least, it seems they rather like the protection the secular state has given all religions.
I am with Syria. I am with the president.
Yeah.
Me and my children and my wife and all my family. I am Muslim Sunni. You understand? Not Alawi, not Shi'i, not Christian, not... I am Muslim Sunni, but I am Syrian.
Yes.
I like the Syria. I like my president. I need this president.
Yeah.
For Muslim, never problem. Muslim was Christian. Yeah. This is the honest democracy.
It's a secular state, right?
Exactly. You can see it. The mosque here, the church here, the Christian here, the Muslim here, live all together like mosaic.
Yes.
But step outside the city into the rural areas, and it looks like that mosaic is beginning to fray. Not having the freedom to wander around unescorted, I joined a group of Russian journalists and parliamentarians who are being given a tour of the sites the rebels have destroyed. Russia has become a firm ally in recent months. In the southern town of Dara, near the Jordanian border, we're shown a burnt-out courthouse where 20 police were hospitalised after being attacked by rioters. This is a particularly significant town. It was here in March that the Syrian revolt began.
Every fire needs a spark, and it was first lit here in Dara. A group of school children, 11, 12, 13, were writing anti-government graffiti when they were taken into custody by security forces. They were beaten, they were tortured. When the parents gathered to demand their release at the police station and here at this courthouse, their protest turned into an uprising and the fire truly began.
Before long, there were pitched battles between the protesters and the army and police that raged in Dara for 2 weeks.
Molotov cocktail.
Dozens, possibly hundreds, were killed in and around the buildings we're now touring. I'm told we're next heading for a school where I'm keen to speak with some of the older kids about what happened in March.
Yeah, I mean, what it's just here with kids. We've been brought here, I hoped, to see the school where the children were arrested and beaten. But apparently that's not the reason we're here today. It's to show that in fact the schools are open, and they're primary schools, a little bit younger than the kids that were beaten up brutally. But they're putting on a sports demonstration for us, so we'll watch this.
While the Russians seem interested in discussing class sizes with the school principal, I want to pursue the beating and torture of the kids.
What did you think as a teacher when young children were arrested and beaten? What was your feeling?
انت كمعلمه شو كان موقفك لما سمعت انه في اطفال اعتقلوا؟
انا ما سمعت انه في اطفال اعتقلوا.
She didn't hear that.
You didn't hear it? Come on, the whole world heard it. I heard it.
انت سمعت منين ما بعرف اما انا ما سمعت.
You heard it, but she didn't hear it.
Well, if I tell you that children from this area were arrested and beaten,
انا ما سمعت.
does that concern you?
قديش هدول الاطفال؟
But why do you say you haven't? Why do you say you haven't heard of this?
انا بالله.
This is ridiculous.
انا بحكي ليش؟ لانه انا بس احكي بدي انتبه.
You cannot agree with it, but how can you say you haven't heard of it? I mean, come
فهموا
on.
اياها، هي ما فهموا اياها.
What's she say?
Because she can't talk.
She can't talk. I understand. Yeah, fair. Okay.
هيك نحن ما في. تحكي؟
Okay, thank you.
It's hard to know whether she's talking about the government or the opposition, who are regularly killing opponents in this area, a fact rarely reported outside. As we are hurried onto the bus, Ivan, one of the Russian journalists, tells me of his suspicions about the international reporting of events here.
We see BBC, we see CNN, and when we are watching them, we understand that it's something terrible. Yeah? But when we are here, we understand that it's not so terrible as they're talking about.
Yeah. So the Russian media is generally more sympathetic to the government position.
They're not sympathetic to government position. They're trying to understand what's happening.
What's really happening?
Yeah.
What's really happening?
There may well be a bias in international coverage, but with such limited access to the region, it's difficult to scrutinise the claims of the rebels. In any event, Syrian state media is hardly a beacon of truth in the region. Back in Damascus, I went to visit one of the few independently owned media outlets in the country, a fairly recent phenomena in Syria. Shukamaku, or What's Up, is an internet news site which is on a considerably longer leash than any other journals in the country.
نحن بالحقيقة أنه ما عندنا الخلفية السياسية لأي موظف أو أي صحفي موجود هي مطلوبة إنه يكون له خلفية سياسية، مو شرط يكون كلياتنا باتجاه واحد أو بقرار واحد. إياد بعثي، أنا رئيس تحرير ماني بعثي أنا نهائيا، وسرور أخذ خط معارض.
Editor-in-Chief Rami Mansour is quite neutral on how the Syrian government is portrayed in the international media. His objection is how the opposition are portrayed as peaceful pro-democracy protesters. He shows me footage he's been gathering on opposition actions that the government doesn't broadcast, perhaps because it shows a situation more dire than the official narrative. That's a massacre. How many dead in this incident?
Around 120.
Like these massacred soldiers, or footage of the murder and mutilation of a man Romy believes is a simple army postman, a civilian. Yeah. Is a mailman.
Yeah.
For me, the most revealing footage was these images of Syrian forces under attack. It was very clear that it wasn't just protesters' slogans that were raining down upon them.
What was that, rocket propelled?
But the biggest surprise of the visit was meeting Sarur and hearing her put views which would have been unthinkable in Syria just a short time ago. Would you like to see the government change?
بتحبي أنت تشوفي إن هاي الحكومة عم تغير؟
طبعا.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Why would you like to see the government change?
لأنه اقترفت أخطاء كتير ومن حقنا نشوف حدا جديد يمثلنا كشباب. هلا الشكل الطبيعي إنه التغيير اللي عم بيصير بالبلد رح يفرز معطيات جديدة.
Would you have publicly stated 1 year ago, 2 years ago, that you want the government to go, you want the president to go?
من سنة كان عندك استعداد تقولي على الملأ إنه أنا بدي هاي الحكومة تتغير وبدي الرئيس يتغير؟
لا.
No.
So when is it only this year that you feel the courage to say that because of this situation?
فأنت هاي السنة اكتسبتي هاي الشجاعة لتقولي هذا الشيء بسبب الوضع اللي صار؟
طبعا.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay, so there's change in the air.
في تغيير بالأجواء معناتها.
طبعا.
Of course.
A change in the air that may yet save Syria from immolation, if the government is capable of smelling it rather than bunkering down in the habits of 40 years of one-party rule.